Hey everybody, how's it going? So today I'd like to talk a little bit about the Paycheck Protection Program. You know that program that's supposed to be giving loans to small businesses? The one where they are allocating $349 billion for 30 million small businesses, meaning that there's only $16,000 available per business. That program, the one where you need to apply as quickly as possible before the funds run out, that program has hit couple of snags. And one of the snags that is interesting that I want to cover today is this one snag where banks are adding prerequisites that were never included in the CARES Act itself to try and keep people from getting access to the money. As I said in previous videos, one of two things is going to be the case. Either A, the government and the banks are actually not going to bullshit business owners like myself, and they will simply just give us $130,000, whether they print it, borrow it, tax it, or whatever, to small business owners as a bribe to not fire their staff. The government is so desperate that they will say, here, Lewis, if you don't fire or lay people off for the next 2.5 months or cut their pay, here's $130,000. Or B, it's too good to be true, and this is just all a lull. You're not actually going to get any of that money. And B appears to be the way that this is going. So I have been somewhat aggravated by certain statements that I've been reading, like this one from Cuomo, let's maintain the public health, we'll figure out the economy afterwards. You know, again, it's one of those things that's really easy to say when you're not paying your own fucking employees out of pocket. We are with tax dollars. When you pass legislation that mandates a certain amount of paid family leave, paid sick leave, additional paid sick leave while businesses are shut down, and you don't really give anybody an idea of how they're supposed to pay for that, people will worry a little bit about the economy, like, you know, just a little bit about what it is they spent 12 or 13 years building, as you are just saying, oh yeah, we'll figure it out afterwards, don't worry about it. Here's why people are worrying about it. Let's just bring up what's happening with this CARES Act, this thing that's supposed to give small business owners like me access to capital so that I have an incentive to not fire everybody at my company during a period like this. Bank of America here is only allowing small business customers with existing loans, credit lines, and business credit cards to apply for the program. So the TLDR of this article is if you're a Bank of America customer and you've been a Bank of America customer for 15 years and you don't have a credit card with them, you can't apply for this program. Even though Bank of America is an SBA lender, even if you did have an account with Bank of America, they were telling you, no, you cannot apply right now because you don't have any outstanding loans with us. That is absolute, utter bullcrap. And if you take a look, scrolling down, they actually changed this policy yesterday due to a lot of social media outrage, and also senators pointing out that this has nothing to do with the act. Senator Marco Rubio pointed out that it wasn't a federal government requirement that customers have loans in order to be approved for the Paycheck Protection Program, part of the $2 trillion relief package. Now, it's very obvious why Bank of America is doing this. It's very obvious why they want the money to get into the hands of their indebted customers, not their normal customers. A normal customer does not owe the bank money, so if their business fails, who cares? Fuck you. If a company that owes the bank $2 million goes under because they don't get this loan, now Bank of America cares because then they're actually losing money. So they are not caring about the interests of the businesses. They're caring about their own interests. Like, surprise, surprise. But they are putting in place these barriers that were not part of the bill. This is a great life lesson to keep teaching people that the more in debt you are, the more you have someone by the balls, the more eligible for help you are, and the more responsible you are, the less debt you have, the less likely you are to go under, the less help you get. Then you have other banks like Chase where people I've seen lie and say they are accepting applications right now. That's actually incorrect. That is not correct at all. If you take a look at Chase's website, once you fill out their form, it brings you here. You're not submitting an application. You're not submitting documents. It's just a little, well, it's just like this stupid little thank you form, like what you get after you're done checking out on newegg.com. Except when I check out on newegg.com, hell, if you check out on my website after buying a $3 plunger and syringe, you get what's called a follow-up email. You get an email confirmation that your order went through. With this program, if you try it with Chase, you do not even get so much as an email confirmation that this went through. You could actually fill out this form 5 or 10 times. It's not even going to tell you you've already applied. For all you know, this doesn't actually go anywhere or do anything. It's literally just there so that people would stop giving Chase the middle finger because just as of 2 days ago, Chase had a page there that said, we are not accepting applications at this time. We cannot tell you when we are accepting applications. Check our Twitter if anything changes. This is a joke. This is an absolute joke. Banks are going to do every single thing they can to weasel their way out of this. And the reason they're going to do that is because it doesn't really seem to benefit them. The government is going to provide the money to the bank. The bank is going to provide the money to you. You're going to pay it back at ridiculously low interest. That's probably going to go to the government. Or the loan is going to be forgiven using government money, which is either, again, printed, taxed, borrowed, whatever. The bank doesn't really see a way to get a cut out of this. And do you think the bank is going to want to actually interface with you? Do you think that they're going to want to call you? Do you think that they're going to want to even so much as give you a confirmation email if they're not making money out of you? Of course not. Absolutely. Of course not. I'm not waiting to get a call back from this. Really, I don't expect to. This program allocates $16,500 for the approximately 30 million businesses in the country. But by this program's text, I'm eligible for $130,000 approximately, because what they make you eligible for is about 2.5 months of your average monthly payroll from last year. My monthly payroll was anywhere from $50,000 to $60,000 recently, maybe a little less in the earlier months of last year. So, absolute minimum for me is going to be somewhere in the $130,000 range. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't add up. Small business is anything from 1 to 500 employees. I have 12 to 14. There's going to be lots of businesses with way more people than I have with way larger payrolls, and they're going to be applying for this exact same loan. There's not going to be enough money available for everybody. It's a $2 trillion stimulus package, and something like 10 to 15% goes to 50% of the country. This is a meme. I mean, this is a meme. And this is why I just really want to kind of give a business owner's perspective on this. When my governor says, we'll figure out the economy afterwards, that small business owners like myself that are being asked, don't lay off your employees. Don't fire your employees. Don't pay cut your employees to get around the paid sick leave legislation that we've put in place, are looking at people like Cuomo and giving you a big fucking middle finger. Because when you say worry about it later, we'll figure it out afterwards, this is your crap ass idea of figuring shit out. And it sucks. I haven't laid anybody off. I haven't fired anybody. I've honored all paid sick leave out of pocket, and I'm not changing anybody's pay. At the same time, there are lots of fucking businesses that are not in the position that I'm in, that are that are pulling their hair out, going gray, going bald, losing their mind because they have no idea how they're supposed to do this. How are they supposed to pay all of their staff members, not lay people off, not fire people and be viewed as the asshole boss, and do all of this when this is the way that you're figuring stuff out, when this is your idea of figuring stuff out later? This is a fucking joke. This is shit. My Magento 1.4 website that I had going in 2010 was able to give people confirmation and follow-up emails when they filled out a form. This doesn't. That form probably goes nowhere. If government did not care what business owners did, then that would be one thing. But if you are encouraging businesses to not lay off people, to not fire people, to not change their pay, and you're putting all of these additional regulations into place regarding additional paid sick leave, additional paid family leave, if you want businesses to not lay people off, to not fire people, to not use legal trickery, to get around having to pay out using these programs during a time of decreased business or straight up government mandated shutdown, you got to do better than this. You can't come up with a program that makes you eligible for $130,000, budgets to give you $16,000, and then when you actually go to the website, gives you $0 with a fuck you, or a form that is so poorly put together, it doesn't even send you a confirmation email to say that we received your request. This is a joke, and people that have clawed their way out of a Shawshank Redemption sewer of shit to start their business out of nothing, 5 years, 10 years, 20, 30 years put into it, their life savings, every single little thing, surprise, surprise, they're not going to want to throw their entire fucking business away following your suicidal economic strategy if this is what you're going to give them. If this is how you're going to handle shit, people are going to be put into a scarcity mindset where instead of thinking about what's best for everyone, they're going to do what's best for themselves because they don't want everything they worked 20 or 30 or 40 years for thrown away because their politicians are a bunch of stupid cunts. This is intensely frustrating. For full-time staff, I am not cutting hours, I am not cutting employees, I'm not laying people off, and I'm not cutting pay. I'm continuing to do what I'm told. Be a good boy and don't lay anybody off. But if you want us to not change our behavior the way that we would normally change our behavior in the case of, let's say, a global pandemic that causes widespread shutdowns of businesses, then you're going to have to do your part. And you're not. Seems like it's much easier to get money in your pocket if you're a multi-billion-dollar corporation, or hell, just someone who owes the bank money, than it is if you're a simple small business owner with no debt that's just doing what they're supposed to do. There's something made very blatantly obvious at this early stage, that Bank of America's behavior is not going to be unique. They're not going to be the only bank that uses as many loopholes as possible to make sure that this benefits them and not the people that it's actually designed to benefit, nor that it's going to be easy or simple to get what this very straightforward bill says that you have the right to apply for. It's very obvious at this point that this is not going to be money that you get without putting up a fight for it. The bank is doing what the guy in that bar does, where he just keeps getting drunker and saying nastier shit and making nastier, more personal, more fucked up jokes about you and the people you're with until someone just walks along and just clocks him in the face in a manner where no policeman who watched the scene could reasonably be expected to arrest the person who punched the idiot because he was asking for it. And at this point, they're asking for it. They are. They really, really are. They're doing everything they can to weasel their way out of what this CARES Act claims it is supposed to provide us. And this is not something where you need to feel guilty, because you're not the one that asked for all these multi-billion-dollar companies that fucked up and bought back their stock when they should have been saving their money for a rainy day get bailed out. You didn't ask for them to get bailed out, but if they're bailing out them, they're bailing out you as well. This is not 2008. We are not playing that shit again, where a bunch of banks and multi-billion-dollar companies get bailed out with our tax dollars, with inflation that us and our children are going to have to suffer through. Fuck that. If they're getting bailed out, we're getting bailed out too. If you're saying that we need to pay out all of these benefits to all of these people while not collecting income, you do you, but when you promise that this is what we're getting, we're going to get it one way or the other. If it means that we need to be polite, fine. If it means we have to tweet at the bank, fine. If that means that neighborhoods filled with thousands of people go to Chase or Bank of America and just stand outside, and some of us walk in and very politely, kindly, respectfully let them know that we will leave when they remove these bullshit restrictions that were never in the bill and do what they were fucking told to do, then so be it. We're not the ones that said that we would figure it out later. You were. And if you're not going to figure it out later, then we will. We're not playing anymore. That's it for today. And as always, I hope you learned something.